Hello again, this is Charlie Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the Homebuyers Hour on WCPT. That name, and I had to rehearse it, and then my good friend Patrick, he decided to plant that seed of going ahead and pronouncing it wrong, so I started second guessing myself.
You did
But
it
Nicole,
perfect.
thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. If you don't mind, can you give us a rundown about yourself, your experience, your practice, and say hi to someone special this morning?
So Nicole Hadju at Dreamtown Realty. Been doing this 17 years,
17,
and
wow.
with Dreamtown for 10 actually. Been
Nice.
with them for a while. I have a team now. Didn't start with a team. Wish I was on a team in the beginning, but back in the day, maybe Patrick remembers with working with your agents, like people didn't help each other. So until recently, I'd say maybe the last like 7, 8 years.
Yeah, that is a big change. It's interesting that you point that out because I grew up in a real estate household. My mom was a realtor, and there's no teams. Like you talk to my mom about, would you ever start a team, be on a team, and she just looks at you like, "What are you nuts?"
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a completely foreign concept.
Dog eat
Everyone's
dog.
in it for themselves, and every other agent is trying to take your lunch off your table and eat it.
Well, wait a minute. I see on Facebook, I know Patrick's making fun of me right now, but I see on Facebook that it's all lovey-dovey. My best friend, the real estate agent, you're wonderful, and
Well, it's changed. It's changed over the years because it's had to.
okay.
Yeah, it's had to. It's been more collaborative. Even working with our partners, like our wonderful attorneys, like Patrick, and our wonderful
okay.
inspectors, like Charlie.
That guy's
It's
not okay.
very
Now,
collaborative.
Joey, he's great.
And
you know.
Joey,
Yeah,
the wonderful lenders who make it all happen. So we actually
It is interesting.
At work.
I do think about that sometimes. Another area where, the bar was set so low, but with property managers, they used to be the absolute worst. Okay, and Nicole's looking at me like, how's that changed? The absolute worst that they are right now is so much higher a standard than what it used to be. It's crazy. I can, in the old days, maybe partially it's who I was at that point. I mean, you just couldn't have a real conversation with a property manager, and now you can actually.
a little robotic.
Well, they're so used to people just coming at them and having nothing but negativity, and then you come in and you go, I don't have anything negative to bring to you, but I do need your help with something.
And next on the list, folks, is all the other real estate professionals that we will be trashing.
Do you know
And
who-
I do love every single one of them.
Do you know who the one profession that hasn't got any better at all throughout that entire time is building inspectors? Just the worst.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you who it is, but their initials are home inspectors.
Deal killers.
All right, deal killers and everything.
Alarmists.
Patrick, give us your information. We got to get moving here because I want to find out why my rates are going up or down.
Yeah, get ready. Joey Mathews, the VA loan nerd, is about to come on and probably violate a few federal laws by answering unfair questions that Charlie's going to ask him. Before that, though,
Everything is unfair.
that's just how
I
you
can
like
talk
to
about
run.
solar panels if you want.
Actually, I have an appointment I need to get to. My name is Patrick Loftus. I'm a real estate lawyer, as we've kind of, in a roundabout way, I already said. Find me on social media. I am at Loftus_law on Instagram, at Loftus Law on TikTok. I do fun stuff online, so come find me.
I love it. Joey, please.
Hi, Joey Mathews, NMLS 1330694. You can find me at theVALoanNerd.com. Across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. If you want to, you can call or text me at 630-235-2405. Hi, that's me. So what's going on in rate world right now? Well, consumer price indexes got released. They were pretty much on par with expectation. The year over year was exactly where they expected, a 0.2% rise from last year. Month over month was slightly hot compared to previous reports, growing 0.3% which was above expectations by 0.1%. So now all that sexy stuff is over. So in the past, the biggest report has always been the jobs report. In the last year and a half, CPI, Consumer Price Index, what you're buying things for, right, has been the hot report. Up until about 3 months ago, that put back to the jobs report. So with inflation continuing to quote unquote fall, in terms of CPI and producer price index, which gets released tomorrow, PPI.
Tomorrow being
we have
Thursday.
seen tomorrow being Thursday, today being Wednesday, September 11th,
And broadcast being on Saturday. There is a quiz at
Yeah.
the end.
Love it. Love it. But over the last few months, currently rates are below Truth in Lending Act violation inbound.
Like I
Rates
said.
are at rates are at 1.5-year lows right now. So I would anticipate that number to continue to drop. So if you have already bought your house, congratulations, enjoy that equity. If you are still in the market, or if you are planning to enter the market, please bear in mind that on average, when you see a rate drop of 1%, you'll see the buyer pool increase by 10%. And what's going to happen as the buyer pool increases, prices go up, right? So if you already own, your equity rises. If you are in the buying, your cost to buy will rise. Your rate will be lower, but your cost to buy will rise. We've been talking about this for like 2 years. Good idea to buy rates are high. Now we are going to feel the impact of that.
But it has
and
been
Nicole
that
will
way
be
for
the
years.
expert.
Not just 2 years. It's been
Fair. I
that
think
way
this is-
for hundreds again. Well, hundreds. Who am I?
Hundreds.
Tens of years.
Let me take you back to
Yeah.
a year called 2007 and 2008.
100 of years.
There it is. Sorry
And
about
eight-
that. I didn't know it was a
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
long
okay.
time.
back
And
then.
where's the big difference?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Where's the big difference? and
Unemployment
Why is that
is a
not
big
happening?
difference.
It's because it was rhetorical, Charlie. It was rhetorical.
Oh.
Yeah, unemployment's a big difference, but the bigger difference is builders are not building to meet demand.
We were just having this conversation. So there's still.
Builders got hung out to dry. They were left holding the bag, so they do not want to get themselves in the
Same situation. Yeah.
Yeah, we got you cutting out a little bit, Joey. Sorry about that. But no, I get it. So we still have a housing shortage. Oh, there, you're back again. So the last we heard is builders got hung out to dry.
Yeah, so there's a huge pool of buyers. So there's high demand, but there's low inventory, and there's low new building happening. So price increases.
Yeah.
Prices increases as rates drop.
Builders got hung out to dry. Also, you know, there's that's one big reason, right? And a lot of national builders went out of business. The building industry itself is very fragmented. There are very few big national builders out there putting up homes. And so you've got that. You've got the lack of people in the trades that actually have the skills and the capability of doing it. You also have a lot of issues with zoning restrictions and a lot of NIMBYism where, you know, many people, and I'm just going to speak generally, and I'm not accusing anyone of being any kind of way about this, but while they broadly recognize and appreciate that there's a housing shortage and are in favor of building more housing, just not by me, because if we increase the supply, then my home is not going to be worth as much, and that can't be.
All for you.
Well,
Agree.
I live in the
Well, it's
South
true.
Loop, so
and there's a lot of people that
Joey?
there's a lot of people that feel rate locked too. They're handcuffed to the rate that they got in 2020, 2021, so they're also not selling. So, and granted, as rates drop, you would imagine more sellers getting into the market, but sellers are also buyers. So you're also increasing the pool of buyers that you're competing against, who now are using the equity from their sale to buy their next place. So it makes it tougher, especially for a first-time buyer.
Yeah, but it usually gets wiser as far as I'm concerned is when you're downsizing. You know, so let's just say you got $750,000 in your home and you want to go ahead and get a smaller condo for only $250,000, right? And you still owe $250,000 on the house, well, then you pay everything off, you got money in the bank, and you buy a smaller place. You know, I think those are going to be the only time that well, not only time. Sometimes people have to move, change schools, whatever it is. You know, there's always, you have to move. But as far as financially wanting to move, I think that's going to be a tougher pill for a lot of people, at least for a few years.
Well, as time goes on, I mean, you know, in general, people tend to stay in a home 4 or 5 years, and then they'll often need something that suits their family, better. Whether it's we need to find a different school, whatever it is. Every family sort of grows in its own way. The longer the longer the period of time it elapses from, Joey, you can tell me when we last saw those historically low mortgage rates. The more time that goes by, the less people with those low interest rates are going to be in a home that makes sense for their family.
That makes a lot of sense. So, hey,
June of 2022.
Yeah. So, we're 2 years on, and it's gonna happen whether people like it or not. That 4% rate, and some of them are gonna try to be landlords, and most of those are going to not enjoy that experience. So
it's a whole new world.
It'll be
Especially when
interesting.
they realize they got capital gains to deal with after that second year elapses.
Yeah, I've been depreciating my my investment property for the past 17 years. When I sell that place, that's gonna be sad. It's gonna be sad when I have to file my tax return.
I don't blame you at all. All right, I'm going to change to the subject that we were going to talk about right from the beginning today, and that's going to be change in the market. And something that I woke up this morning, and anybody who knows our business, we really focus on getting our clients to leave a review. And the whole idea is just to be an honest review, and of course we want to get that 5-star thing. So, and if you add up everything on all our platforms, we're about 1,800 5-star reviews, which quite
Wow.
frankly, my head is swollen and I might not be able to get through the door because I am so proud of each and every one of these guys
That's
that I work
amazing.
with.
Russian bots mostly.
But I like that. But this morning, somebody wrote a review on there, and they were talking about the thoroughness that our inspectors did. They were talking about me following up and explaining to everybody on a Zoom call, going over the report afterwards and giving dollar signs and everything else. And something else that I haven't heard in so many years was that gave me the power to start negotiating for a reduction in the price. And these were legitimate things. We didn't make stuff up. But, and Nicole, I would love to get your take on this. I've just been hearing years, for, I want to say at least 4, 5, 6 years, that the buyer just didn't have any leverage to negotiate. There were so many other buyers and they're bidding over price. But is that changing? Is this, what do you think? Is it short term, long term? Give me some scoop.
Well, everything changes. Everything's cyclical. Just a matter of how long it takes to be cyclical. And every market I've been in, every year it is different, and we think we can predict it, but then it's right upon us and we're like, oh wait, we didn't see that. Like, we saw a version of it, but not exactly what's happening. So I think with the NAR lawsuit, that's a fun topic too.
Yeah.
And then also with this shift in the market, and a lot of the buyers are not wanting to pay top dollar anymore. They're just not wanting to do it. It's becoming more difficult for them with the interest rates being high. And they are kind of hemming and hawing about, okay, what do I really want to pay for this? And I've seen it where, my team will do about 80 to 100 transactions a year. So we're seeing this on a regular basis every week. What are buyers doing? What are they thinking? How are they behaving? What is the buyer behavior? And if you price the property right, you're going to get multiple offers in any market, really. So, I tell my clients, focus on the condition of your property. We already know the location, and focus on pricing, because that will bring you success. And the better you are at pricing, the less negotiation you're going to have to do, whether it is in, attorney approval period for inspections, or even, at the time that the offer presents itself. Because if you're pricing it right and it's a win-win, everybody's going to feel good about it and move forward. But when people are feeling that they overpaid a little bit, or they look at their numbers and like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm paying a month, then they're going to come back and say, okay, what can we negotiate on an inspection? What makes sense for us to come back with, which is probably what happened with you, Charlie, with your report. It gave them that edge to recoup some money that they didn't want to spend.
Yeah, but part of that is, when we do those Zoom calls and stuff, I kind of like to set the ground rules, right, when I do these things. And, in order for somebody to make a decision, they have to have a lot of information. And if you're going to be negotiating, I think it has to do with how severe is the issue. Is this going to cause more damage to the property, or can this actually hurt somebody? And then, and everything is so, subjective. It's unbelievable. And I love to use the speeding analogy. So when I tell somebody that if you're doing 56 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour zone, you're breaking the law. All right, you're wrong. No ifs, ands, buts about it, right? But I think most of us, especially me and anybody who I passed on the Kennedy and the Edens, I apologize now, but I drive over the speed limit. All right, guilty. Now usually I'll go about 5, 10. Patrick's shaking his head because I'm evil.
I can't believe it.
And I don't really do it, and I'm still getting passed by a lot of people. Now you take that same speeding and you're doing 120 in a 55 mile an hour zone. Well, now you're just nuts, and you're going to kill somebody. And
I don't have a front license plate on my car because I think it will make it look uglier.
And I don't blame you, lawbreaker. That's all there is to it. But that's where it comes into here. So it's like, how much is it going to cost? How bad is it? And then the third thing is always going to be who's going to pay. And so many times I get clients asking me, well, can I negotiate for this? Can I get that for this stuff here? And I don't know how to answer, and I have to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. It doesn't matter what the principle of the item is. What matters is how much leverage you have. Now, I've always used the word power. Power, to me, was always the ability to make another person do something. All right, but it's leverage, I think is the proper term. And that's where you come in, is how much leverage, you being Nicole, even the real estate agents, not real estate agents, even the attorneys can't do this. This is more of the agents should understand how much leverage that their clients have. And that's how you determine what to negotiate for. So that's the part that I'm really confused on, is the changing.
Well, disclosure, right? So it starts with disclosure. What were the sellers disclosing? What were they not disclosing? Did that offer come in knowing these things? And oh my gosh, you need a new roof. Like, we didn't know that.
Nobody knows anything. I mean, I swear to God, Sergeant Schultz fills out every single disclosure form that's done in a real estate transaction. Is that me being sarcastic and stupid, or is that close to accurate?
No, I mean, they all come, most of them come back clean. Yeah, most of them do. But when you have an agent who's been doing this for a while, or a really good agent, whether new or not, and they're looking at the roof and they're looking at water damage, or they're looking at things like, this might be an issue, and ask the questions. You got to set up expectations properly so that when you come in and you're doing your inspection, and if there are any surprises, then the agent is able to go back and say, hey, listen, I know you have multiple offers, or I know that this is the situation, but we didn't know this. It's going to come up again. This is what my client wants to move forward with this deal. And we do see it changing recently, because during COVID, people were given, like, okay, do I give you my kid to get this place? Like,
Right.
what do I need to do to get this place? They were paying so much over. They were doing appraisal gap writers like crazy. I mean, I got an appraisal gap writer once for 50 grand. So, and I'm sure that was the norm then. And it's not, I've seen maybe one appraisal gap writer recently. And I'm seeing people really think about what they want to pay for the property. And then also now we have the talk about the rates, going down. So I have so many buyers that I just picked up last week who are entering into the market to be prepared for that. And then I have sellers wanting to sell to be prepared for that, to capture those buyers. Now, what will happen when inspection comes into play and there needs to be negotiation? I don't know yet, because again, this is a little bit different market. Things are changing again, and we have to let our clients know there's always a chance of losing this deal, based on what you asked for, right? Right, Patrick? I mean, you've seen it a million
it's always
times.
a possibility. I mean, look, I've said it before, and I'll continue to say the same thing, which is that every transaction unfolds in its own way. And sure, there's market forces out there that you should be cognizant of. But like Nicole said, when I'm having a discussion with a client, a buyer client, about what came back with the inspection report, I always want to know, both from my buyer and from the agent, which of these things that came back were already talked about, because it's not really a good strategy to go back and try to take another bite at the same apple that you've already consumed. All you're going to do is inflame the seller, and even if they were feeling generous, let's say, before you tried that, let's say that in the MLS listing it says roof's 18 years old, that's it's an asphalt shingle roof that probably is going to need to be replaced imminently. That's a different scenario than if there's nothing in the listing about that, or there were no discussions about the condition of the roof, and then Charlie, one of your people, goes up on the roof and says, "Oh man, this thing is substantially degraded." That's a different story, because the buyer, they didn't have an opportunity beforehand, before they agreed on a price, to factor that in. Whereas where you're upfront about these things, the buyer really doesn't have much of a leg to stand on when they're like, yeah, actually the roof, is in, that condition. So, all of these factors, it's so difficult to really say, like, well, if we have 10% more buyers out there, this is what's going to happen with transactions, or if we have, I don't know, 30,000 more homes instantly go on the market, all of a sudden, it's going to be this effect, because every transaction is different. And you're ultimately dealing with people, and people all have their own. They're all weird. Charlie, you're weird. Nicole, you're not that weird. Joey's very weird, we know. So, and I'm normal.
Right.
I prefer
somehow.
extra.
Extra. He's got.
He's extra, I like that.
Patrick has to be a little more politically correct.
I'm just a lot.
Just a lot.
These are all technical terms.
No, but you hit it on the head, when it comes to that. And then you get some people, and again, all humans are different. I keep wanting to get that out there. There's some really great people, and then there's some people that make some pretty poor decisions. One of my favorites is going to be, well, and literally they tell me this when we're doing our Zoom calls. Well, we know that we paid $20,000 over price, so I need to get a whole bunch of stuff here to negotiate. I'm like, you need to have a long, hard talk with your real estate agent about this stuff, because if that person's on their game, and maybe they weren't, I really don't know, maybe they encouraged them to do that, which is horrible advice. But if you're in a situation that you're paying 20, 50 grand, whatever it is, overpriced, you don't really have a lot of leverage to go ahead and negotiate anything. You either take it as is or you walk away. And let's face it, there's money that gets spent in between that decision. All right, so you can go ahead and try this 4, 5, 6 times, and you're paying $500, $1,000, $2,000 for home inspections each and every time, because you're getting a whole bunch of services so you can get price off. When are you going to learn that you're not going to get any price off the thing? This is more so that you're going to decide, okay, is this house good enough for me to take the risk with it, or do I have to walk away because it's too much for me to swallow?
Well, that strategy you just articulated, it lives in a world of contradictions, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I want this house to be in a condition that is bad enough that I could ask for a substantial credit or price reduction. If that's the case, it means you've got a big problem. So, what you're asking for is something you don't really want. And it's a bad place to start. As far, I think the logic must be, come up with something that I can that I could turn into something that will give me leverage. That's not actually a big deal, but I can make it look like a big deal. And you're not in cahoots with this person. You're a licensed professional.
I'm going to tell the truth.
Who's gonna do the job they were hired to do, which doesn't involve embellishing or making mountains out of molehills. You're trying to give someone a clear idea of the condition of the property that they agreed to purchase.
And it's not always an easy thing to do, putting things in the proper perspective so that we give you three, ammunition. I don't know if ammunition is the right word, but the
The
tools,
support.
The knowledge.
Support.
the tools, the
Yeah.
knowledge, all those things are great, in order so we can all advise our clients the best. You know, and Joe, you don't always get the home inspection reports on my end, right?
I better not get those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually not.
I know I
It's a
do
bad
get
idea.
I do get stuff from clients saying, I don't know why I did this. It always starts off like that.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know why I did this, but I gave the home inspection a report to my
Underwriter.
to the bank or to
Yeah.
the originator.
Enjoy your dead deal.
And they want me to fix this, this, and this. And I'm like, you know, and yeah, I get a little frustrated, but everything with me is customer satisfaction. I'm like, well, just get them fixed. Do what you need to do to get this thing, you know, going. And then I'll hop in my car and I'll drive over there and I'll just verify it. And then I'll write whatever letter that they need as long as the stuff is done. I'm not going to lie. But I'll come out there and I won't charge just to get this thing done, you know, and make it work and stuff like that. What?
No, I'm
I had the ability where I could do stuff like
No,
that. That's lucky.
that's not what I'm reacting to. I'm
Oh.
just thinking to myself, you know, I'm glad I don't run into these situations, you know, more than, you know, once in a very long while, like every couple of years, because most people have more sense than that. But, you know, my guess is sometimes you're dealing with people, they're just looking for someone that will tell them something that can, you know, make something less of a
Difference.
problem. And so, you know, usually those questions end up going to the person that they trust the most on their team. So often, Charlie, it'll be you. Nicole, often it'll be you. It'll often be me. And, you know, if it's Joey and they go, Joe, you know, can you take a quick look at this inspection report? And Joey's just like, can you unsend that immediately? Because I have a whole other set of criteria that you don't want to get involved with at all. You can only make things worse. You know.
For what it's worth, a lender that's smart isn't going to give that to their underwriter. I don't mind getting it so I can get ahead of any possible appraisal issues, but I'm not going to send that to an underwriter. I have seen LOs send it to an underwriter.
Oh, I have
Just
too.
not smart.
I have
Gracious.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said that. Where I was like, wait, what just happened?
Well,
Yeah. Once an underwriter sees it, they can't unsee it,
No.
and then your deal dies.
Joey, what did you say? You said it's like 20 hours and a test to become a licensed mortgage broker?
Yeah. So it's the
There you
20-hour safe mortgage loan originator test, and then every state, well, not every state, but a bunch of states have their own as well. I just did the Utah one. It was 15 hours. It was awful.
Yeah, you're probably not learning a whole lot that you don't already know at that point.
So I
Joey,
can
how-
drop.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how many states are you in?
44 plus DC.
Nice.
So let me get this straight. I can.
I'm extra.
I'm only
You're
in
extra.
one.
You're a
I
lot.
could go to 20 hours of schooling and take a test. I could be a mortgage guy. I already got the home inspector license here in Illinois. I think it's like 60 or 80 hours for a real estate
120.
broker. And then what is it, 10, 12 hours for attorney?
Yeah.
What is that?
Don't go be a jack of all trades, a master of none, Charlie. Stop. Get off this horse.
He's gonna. We won't even need to be here.
No,
He's
Frank.
just gonna run around.
It'd be like being at home. Charlie talking to himself. It'd be great.
And Frank
It is
Abagnale
always
over
at
there.
home. And by the way, I give some of the best advice to myself in the world, all right? Except when I get argumentative.
Frank
Then I
Abagnale
bite
over there
dirty.
is playing Catch Me If You Can. He's
Oh
also,
my
he's also going to be
gosh.
writing scripts, you know, for whatever.
Flying airplanes.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
I could
God.
do that, or I could go to Ohio and eat some cats. And never mind.
Oh
That's
my
good.
gosh.
Stop
I
it.
apologize, everyone.
This is your
You
captain
know.
speaking, Charles Bellefontaine.
Get out of here, Al.
Reach the cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. If you look over on your left, you'll see the Grand Canyon. And if you look a little farther, you'll see a hideous Cybertruck driven by Joey Mathews, the VA loan nerd.
That's the green one
Oh
with the
my
guy with the
God.
glasses on it. Joey, give us your contact information, please. I've been neglectful this the last few weeks.
No, yeah, Joey Mathews, the VA Loan Nerd, the VALoanNerd.com, across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405.
Sounds good. Patrick, please.
Yeah, don't call or text me. I don't like distractions, but what I do like is followers on social media. So find me on Instagram, Loftus_law. Find me on TikTok, Loftus Law.
Gotta love it. Nicole, please.
And I prefer that you call or text or email Nicole Hadju, Hajdu, and you can look me up online and you'll find everything real estate and my contact info.
Sounds good. Thank you, Nicole. My name is Charlie Bellefontaine. We own Chicagoland Home Inspectors, and we also own Home Inspection University of Illinois. If you're interested in joining the home inspection profession, this is kind of what we do. And we're happy to announce that in partnership with the College of Lake County, we ended up winning a clean energy education grant. So anybody who's up in the circle of draw of Lake County and is interested in getting into windmills, HVAC, home inspecting, there's some great government programs that can get you involved with this, and I'll put you in touch with the right people.
Does this station go all the way up to Grays Lake, or?
It goes all the way up to Milwaukee.
Oh, wow.
All right, so yeah, I had to drive high on the hill to get it, but it does go up there. So
All
I'm
those
very
poor
thrilled.
people who are being subjected to this. Can't believe it.
Exactly. You know, people from Illinois are good. We're not bad people. We love Wisconsin.
I believe it's pronounced Illinois.
Illinoisians.
Gotta put the S on the end of everything.
I know, right? That's part of the things
Is
that
that
I
just
love
Chicago?
so much. But let's get back to, you know, your team, your transactions, and everything else. What are you doing? How are you advising your clients when you recognize this shift that's happening? I mean, to me, everything in the expectations is preparation. So I want to prepare my client for what's going to happen as close as I can. What are you doing with that?
Well, since I've been in this for a long time, I'm able to speak confidently about what I've seen in the past and what I see now. So, you know, they're hiring me to guide them, consult, advise, and then everything else is kind of up to them and what they decide. So I set up expectations in the very beginning, and I state, okay, this is what we're going to do. You know, I actually have a portfolio I give them, and in that portfolio it shows what to do when you're buying, what 10 things to avoid when you're getting a loan, so to help people out like Joe. And I set up the expectations of, okay, here's how the transaction plays out from start to finish and what is happening in the market right now. And I'll start out by saying we're seeing a shift. I'm seeing a shift. A lot of people in my office are seeing a shift. I talk to other people, they're seeing a shift. There's some of us that are going to be way busier than others, especially if we're doing this full time and for over a decade. And then there's other people who are a lot slower, but we're still seeing the same thing. So I start out by saying that there is a shift. And so we're going to be looking at properties, but keep in mind, properties that are priced right will sell quickly within the first 3 weeks. Things that you see over that probably need a price change, or there's something going on that they're not selling. Okay, so now NAR comes into play too, because we got to figure out that as well with that component. I think that's for another show, but at any rate.
No, that's actually a good point. Do you think that real estate agents are leaving the profession?
Yeah, I think they will.
Will or are?
I think some are and some
Wow.
will. Yeah, definitely.
Because of that.
It becomes there is so much confusion around it, and there's also if these agents are confused and other people in this profession are confused, how are they explaining it to the consumer? How are they explaining it to their clients? And they don't necessarily have the knowledge or the experience to explain it correctly, or the teaching. I mean, Dreamtown put us through 6 different classes that we had to go through to really understand what's going on and what forms to fill out and how to talk to our clients. But a lot of people aren't, like, I'll get offers and there's nothing mentioned about compensation. So those people aren't educated about it, right? So when they're put up against it and have to speak to their clients about it, especially as a buyer's agent, it becomes very difficult to show their worth, or, you know, why should somebody pick them? Why should somebody pay compensation? So people are like, maybe I'll just find another profession where it's not that hard, right? And where I'll get paid for sure for the work I do instead of like questionable. So I think, I think we're going to see a shift in that. I mean, the shift is definitely, I see it within my buyers and my sellers. There's, you see more price changes, you see properties staying on a little bit longer. But I do tell my clients, like, listen, if there is a property you like and it's priced well, I'm going to interview the agent and say, hey, do you have multiple offers? What's going on?
And I gotta keep reminding myself, I'm sorry I interrupted, but you keep bringing up a good point that I keep forgetting. And how many transactions did you guys do last year?
probably 80.
80. Okay, and I'm fine with
85,
round
I
numbers.
think.
And somebody correct me, please, if I'm wrong. I really believe in my heart that when you take all 70-something thousand real estate brokers and you average out how many, 1 or 2 a year.
It is.
It's like
It
less
is.
than one.
It
Less
is.
than one.
I
Yeah.
think so.
All right, so that's what I got to keep telling myself. You got a lot of people, a huge percentage, because if you got a group of people and you're a team that's doing 80 transactions a year, that's at least 80 just to even you out, to get 50% mark on there. So there's got to be that many more people that just aren't doing anything.
Yeah, and the most aren't, and they're going to find it harder. They're finding it harder
That
to
makes sense to me.
to navigate this change in the market with the shift and the change in the market with the NAR suit and what all that means. So, there's a lot to navigate. But I told my client last night, listen, if you like it, there's a pretty good chance somebody else is going to like it. So if you want this place, we have to ask fast. I will go home. I will look at these comps, give you an idea of price, and then interview the agent and move forward with an offer. But because they like it, usually someone else comes in and likes it, unless it's severely overpriced and people are just sitting on the fence, and that's happening a lot too. But there's another place that I knew multiple offers were coming in that day. It was on private. We ended up getting it, securing it. My client is closing in a couple weeks. And then there's
Nice.
places that I put on the market that I have a condo that was sitting for 3.5 weeks, which was long for me. But there were some other issues with the condo and some things being heard about the building, so it took a little bit longer. So it just depends on the property, like Patrick was saying, right? It depends on the property. Every property's different. Condos have been a little bit harder in this market in a shift, which usually happens. And homes, there's not a lot of homes to buy, and people still have change in their life, and they need to move on and buy a home, and there's just not a lot of inventory.
Charlie, just to give you a little idea. So my real estate broker license holding company, which is for real estate brokers that want to maintain their license, but they're not actively doing anything with it.
Yeah.
They just want to be able to refer when when the opportunity arises. We've got like 500 or 600 brokers that are under
Just under you.
that
Wow.
that have a license and aren't doing anything with it. That's just one example of So we've got the 80, and we can have a couple more Nicoles that we're balancing out to get to that 1 or less than 1 average.
And I got to keep reminding myself, all three of me.
All three of you?
Yeah, all three of me's is. No, but I do have to keep reminding myself that average lifespan in this business is less than 2 years. All right, and that's both on the real estate agent line and also on the home inspector line. Joey, where's it at on the mortgage line?
Less than 2 years.
The same with you
It's
too.
the
Same.
duration of the initial license.
I think just because it's so easy to get that initial license, whereas you have to go
Everyone
to,
thinks that
Go
everyone
ahead.
thinks the job is easy until you actually have to do work.
Right.
That's why we
Same
saw
here.
900,000. We saw what, like 600,000 MLOs, mortgage loan originators in 2021. We're down to 90,000 nationally. So yeah, working hard is not something everyone wants to do.
Yeah, somewhere in that first 24 months, people they get a real clear sense of whether that's for them, and it turns out, and the misconception being that it's real estate. How could it be? Turns out, unless
you
you are
unlock a door.
unless you are
Fill in some
working
blanks
your
on a piece of paper. Yeah, it's not hard.
unless you're working your tush off, it is really hard. Because look, even if you don't think the skills are difficult, even if you can acquire those skills, there are people doing real estate who are in real estate. There's the Joey Mathews of the world. There's the Nicole Hadjus of the world, the Matt Laracies of the world. You name it. Those people are 99 times out of 100 going to they're going to win a listing over you as a brand new agent. And if you're not prepared to compete with people who are that good at it, you're going to find out really quick that it's not that easy. In fact, it's really, really hard.
But isn't that one of the benefits, and you kind of threw this out to Nicole, is that join a team. Why go alone?
I'll tell you why you don't join a team. You want to hear the devil's advocate on it?
Yeah, of course.
Patrick.
The dirty
dare you?
It depends on the team, right? If you've got someone running a team who has the best interests of the team and the team members, it probably is a great mentorship experience. And I'm just speaking from the outside. If, on the other hand, you join a team and the person running the team really only cares about themselves and they're going to run you ragged for 2 years just to see if you've got the chops, that probably isn't going to be a great experience unless you're someone that just absolutely, you know, it's the same as like being going and into the culinary arts, right? It's quite easy to get a job at a place like Alinea or, you know, any other high, because they're going to just kick your butt for, you know, until they figure out if you've got what it takes.
The devil wears Prada.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
and so, you know, that's
Oh my God.
that's where
I
mean,
know,
law
I watched it for the first time this year.
law is
you know?
similar. I mean, I went through it, you know, working at
My
law
wife
firms.
made me do it.
I don't want to know about that, but you know, working at law firms, you know, you get hazed.
Yeah.
That's
Pay your dues.
You know, you're gonna have the 80, 90-hour work weeks where you're just like, oh, you know, I'm being paid an experience. Ooh, I want to like slap
Well, you
someone
are
when they
getting
talk
an
about that.
education,
Uh,
and that knowledge is valuable.
Yeah,
you
but
know?